Yes, yes, you read that right. Taylor Lorenz, you remember her? She worked for a bunch of big publications. She doxed libs of TikTok. And I, along with the Daily Wire, teamed up to get a Times Square billboard that said Taylor Lorenz has doxed libs of TikTok. Boy, was she unhappy about that one. Apparently, behind the scenes, she was told she couldn't do anything about it. She wanted to sue. I don't know if that's true, but I know people who work in some of those companies, and they're like, oh, yeah, she was losing her mind. Well, my friends, this story is not so much about her, but it kind of is. You see, this woke establishment journalist, if you can call her that, recently made a post on Blue Sky where she said that people who don't wear masks are raw dogging the air.
Oh my goodness, Taylor Lorenz, maybe one of her craziest outbursts, raw dogging. We're not talking about corn. Taylor Lorenz said raw dogging the air is dangerous. She doesn't want you to raw dog the air. Is that another term for breathing, Tay-Tay? Taylor Lorenz is getting annihilated here by Tim Pool on Timcast, of course. They have history. Let's get back to it. Tim Pool, don't go too hard on Taylor Lorenz because stay to the end. I'm going to tell you why. There's some things to like about Taylor Lorenz. Let's get back to Tim Pool getting in on Taylor Lorenz raw dog in the air.
It has been several years since COVID ended, and she still lives her life in a state of panic and fear where she wears a mask because of COVID. The bigger picture here, my friends, is not so much that some crazy person said a crazy thing. It's that people's brains genuinely are broken. And while many conservatives say, bring back the asylums, my response is, guys, the media machine has melted people's brains. I don't know if asylums are going to solve the problem. How do you get someone whose brain is so shattered to come back to reality? Honestly, I have no idea. The crazy thing is,
if you have an idea, like, comment, subscribe on the video. Let's get back to it. Tim Pool. Getting in on Taylor Lorenz. Get her, Tim.
You know, I genuinely feel like IQs have dropped a great degree. I know people where 5 years ago, they were seemingly normal, rational people. And now it's like they can't process information at all. Maybe there's some chemical substance in the air or water or something has damaged their brains. I have no idea. But I got to be honest, and I want to call anybody out specifically, but there are people I know where I tell you, man, it's like their brains no longer process information. And I'm talking about like average young people. I hang out with them years ago, and they're talking about astrophysics and quantum physics. They're sitting around, they're playing Joe Rogan. We used to watch Bill Maher when I was a kid. And these days, they're sitting there just being like, you are raw dogging the air. Why are you not wearing the mask? I'm not like, I'm speaking like figuratively, but they say things like Trump is Hitler and a white supremacist. And like, I'll show them, like, here's a video of Trump condemning white supremacy. And they'll look at it. And then an hour later, be like, yeah, well, Trump refused to condemn white supremacy. He said they were fine people. And I'm just like, my dude, what happened? I just showed you the video, but some people's brains stopped. And I feel like this happened to Taylor Lorenz. Here's a story from the New York Post. Former Washington Post journalist Taylor Lorenz has claimed that people who don't wear masks in public are raw dogging the air in an expletive-laden social media rant. Now, me personally, when I'm driving in my car, I roll the window down and I hold my hand out so that it intentionally forces the air into my face because fresh air is wonderful.
Tim's trolling a little bit here, but part of this story is Blue Sky. And I don't know anything about Blue Sky. You hit me up in the comment to this video if you have been there. I'm just hearing people talk about it. There's actually an account on X. And I think Taylor Lorenz made these comments on Blue Sky. Let me show you. There's an account on X that is a brilliant idea. This account on X called Blue Sky Libs. It highlights, they basically scour the net on Blue Sky and take a look and find crazy posts. Here's a post. Taylor Lorenz did her raw dog in the air on Blue Sky. This is where all the libs, the ish libs to say, have flocked to. This person here said Democrats should spend exactly zero political capital stopping any Trump deportation efforts. Why? This is a Democrat. They told us that they did it because we should have open borders. We should be welcoming. We love the immigrants. They said it's madness to spend capital trying to help people who are no longer a major part of your electoral coalition. They're mad that they didn't vote Democrat. But the point I'm bringing that up is blue sky might actually be a great thing. This person, Holden, said, I like blue sky. Put the libs in a petri dish and observe from a distance what they say when they think only their tribe is listening. It's fascinating. Brilliant stuff. Tay-Tay is going to show the true colors of Tay-Tay.
Criminal. Well, okay. Unleashed the foul-mouthed tirade Monday as she ripped criticism over continued mask wearing during the ongoing COVID pandemic. She said, I love when people find photos where my mask is off for 5 seconds outside for a photo at my book party where every single attendee had to PCR test as some kind of gotcha. She raged on ex-rival Blue Sky. It's not really a rival. Apparently referring to the event she hosted last year for her book launch. Planning a COVID-safe book launch took months and thousands of my own dollars ensuring testing, outdoor space, far UV lights, and a litany of other precautions. Meanwhile, you dumb Fs are out raw dogging the air and spewing your disease-laden breath all over your elderly neighbors. We are not the same. No, lady, we're not. You're nuts.
It comes across to me that Taylor Lorenz, Tim Pool's right, don't get me wrong. Tim Pool on Timcast is basically just going in. She's nuts, she's crazy. Stay around for what he says here before I give you my final take on why. You might be surprised on what I will say about Taylor Lorenz, actually. But I think what it comes across to me as is Taylor Lorenz is doing what she needs to do to be the good student, the brown noser, the teacher's pet. She thinks, nobody's telling her this stuff. She thinks, Taylor Lorenz thinks that doing this will put her in the good graces of the right people. Even though she's been fired from the newspapers or whatever happened to, she's gone from them and she's kissed their butt. She's done everything, kissed the ring, did everything they asked for. She's not there anymore. Salary probably too high. Now she's on Substack, but she still is kissing the ring. I don't think she has any faith in a higher power. Her faith is in the regime, and that's what she's doing. That's why I think it comes across as crazy. Let's get back to Tim Pool getting in on Taylor Lorenz.
This is crazy. Raw dogging there. I'm just going to raw dog this here spindrift that is not using a life straw. There we go. That was a joke I made on Twitter. I said I'm raw dogging, parentheses, not using a life straw, this spindrift right now. Do you guys know what life straw is? It's like that thing where you can stick it into muddy water and then slurp the water straight up into it, and it purifies it. You know, whatever. I got a bunch of them. They're cool. Anyway, her fiery onslaught was seemingly in response to backlash she received online after sharing a slew of posts earlier Monday about the virus, including one about COVID denialism and how the U.S. government was intentionally trying to downplay the ongoing pandemic. This crazy lady. She's crazy. This lady's crazy. Lorenz, who continues to wear a mask in public to this day because she says she has a pre-existing condition, was immediately scorched for her latest take, with a handful of critics mocking her for a raw dogging remark. Raw dogging the air. Because
instant legendary comment by Taylor Lorenz. Raw dogging the air. So good.
Breathing air now makes you dumb, according to Taylor Lorenz. Dude, people are smoking right now, and they're vaping, Taylor. For some people, is that not raw dog? I guess vaping would not be raw dogging.
No.
For some people like Taylor Lorenz, they never want the pandemic to end. Others, meanwhile, pointed to the timing of her pro-mask rant, noting it has now been some 4 years. First thing I did was look at the date on this. Mind blown emoji. Wow. The journalist's rant comes after Lorenz revealed in October that she had left the Washington Post to start up her own Substack newsletter. The move followed reports that Washington Post editors had lost faith in her after she called Biden a war criminal in a social media post and then was willfully misleading when confronted about it by her bosses. This guy says, I tried to follow the science, but it simply wasn't there. I then followed the money, and that's where I found the science. That's a pretty good one.
That's a good one.
I love this from the Daily Caller. Taylor Lorenz is so crazy, she might just be brilliant. No.
I'm not gonna lie, she looks good in the mask. That wasn't the surprise. I'm gonna get to what could be a surprise at the end here. But she kind of looks like that Mortal Kombat. Was it Katana? I forgot the name of the Mortal Kombat character. Let's get back to Tim Pool on Timcast talking about Taylor Lorenz.
I think her brain got fried.
Yeah.
I really do think so. Here's what I think happens. Taylor Lorenz goes on social media and sees someone mocking her for not wearing a mask. Mm-hmm. Her immediate reaction is, I have to defy whatever this is. So in the essence of Democrats will simply take the opposite path to whatever it is Donald Trump is doing, Taylor Lorenz is seeing people make fun of her. It's conservatives mocking her for wearing a mask, proving she must.
Yep.
It's liberals mocking her for not wearing a mask, proving she must.
Yep.
And so she does. It's crazy to me when, and you know what? I'm done with this. I really, really am. I went to Cracker Barrel the other day, and there are employees there wearing masks, and I am just done with this.
Yeah, stupid.
If I go to an establishment and I see people wearing masks, I'm going to be like, take that off. I'm done doing this thing. I don't trust you. Mm-hmm. I don't know what's wrong with you. Stop doing this. You know, it's funny. You go to a casino, the casino out here, and they got staff wearing masks. The weirdest thing to me was that they would let you walk into a casino wearing a mask. Sure, I guess.
Yeah, that's wild. We're seeing people do their California kind of, shoplifting thing, always wearing that mask. How you see them always wearing that mask. If you don't know some of the history here with Tim Pool and Taylor Lorenz have a history. He mentioned it earlier on. They had his history over this Times Square billboard. I believe that's the one that Daily Wire went in maybe half on it with Tim Pool. So technically Taylor Lorenz did not dox libs of TikTok. It was actually another person who I'm not going to name because they're very savvy with Twitter API and all this kind of stuff. They're the ones that doxed her. Taylor Lorenz just put it in the article. And then Jeff Bezos, it's his paper, so he ultimately has to take ownership. But the feud happened when she doxed libs of TikTok. Jeremy Boring from the Daily Wire went in half with Tim Pool on a billboard that called her out. And so they had that beef there, and Taylor Lorenz was heated at the billboard where the billboard literally just said, Taylor Lorenz doxed libs of TikTok. At that point, we didn't know her name. Her name's Haya now, I believe is Haya Rychek. But that's the history there with Tim Pool and Taylor Lorenz.
I will stress just how crazy the COVID period was. So out here during the COVID pandemic, and I went to a casino in Maine, and this was like a year and a half ago, and they were still under COVID lockdown. So here's what happens. There are these games you can play. For those that aren't familiar with these casino games, let's use Mississippi Stud as an example of how insane COVID was. You weren't allowed to touch any of the cards. You had to wear a mask, and they put plastic dividers between people. Okay, I guess. Anyway, the way the game works is 3 cards are placed in front of the dealer. Each player is given 2 cards. You're trying to use those 3 cards and the 2 cards in your hand to make pairs or better. A pair of jacks or better, and you win 1 time your money. And so what you have to do is you place a bet. They give you 2 cards. If you think your 2 cards are good, you can place another bet and they'll flip over 1 of the 3. The idea being that if you make a winning hand, you can then increase your bet amount and you win a lot of money. Okay, well, what's funny about it is if you know what everyone else has in their hand, you have an advantage. Because if you have an ace and you see 3 other aces, you know you can't make a pair. There you go. So most casinos will ban you if you try and share information. Sometimes they don't care, but during COVID, all the cards are face up. And I'm like, how is this
serious?
a thing?
Wow.
Like, the players have a massive advantage right now. That's how insane COVID was.
Dang, I should have rolled through. Shoot, I used to play a little bit of poker, blackjack. I don't even know them anymore. I was a math major in another life. So I actually used to kind of count the cards, which is not illegal. But I can't do any of that now, man. I was really deep into it back in 2004-ish. I was out there in Detroit, and that was good stuff. But I would have loved that. But let me finish on what I was telling you about. Something to think about with Taylor Lorenz is you might be surprised. She's actually a brilliant writer. She is a brilliant writer. It might be hard for me to get out because it's kind of like she's crazy. I'm going to call somebody who's warning other people with arrogance and ignorance about raw dogging the air, unironically. But she is a brilliant writer. She's really good. She's really talented. I like her writing a lot. As long as she doesn't do stupid topics, she is really entertaining to listen to and watch. She comes from a little bit of a younger generation. I know her age is a joke. I'm not getting into that. But she talks about it more in a Gen Z way, even though she's not Gen Z. Here's an example. She has a good article here that was called, after the election, was called Why Democrats Won't Build Their Own Joe Rogan by Taylor Lorenz on her Substack. I'm going to tell you, it's a great article. I mean, it's not groundbreaking. She does do some good, not groundbreaking, but some good news-breaking stuff. This one is just good op-ed. It's almost, I think it's an op-ed. It's more like a classic op-ed. And my takeaway with this is the regime has set it up where these people are indoctrinated, and maybe her going against Joe Biden as a war criminal might go against my take here. I can't really explain why she would do that. That's probably just more fitting into the left position is what she wanted to do there. But the regime has told you what they want. And they don't have to go into details. Go check out that article. I'm not going to break it all down, but Why Democrats Won't Build Their Own Joe Rogan by Taylor Lorenz, and let me know what you think of it. But I think the main takeaway here is the regime sets up the rules and what you should follow. And if you follow it, you might get success. And I think Taylor, right or wrong, is following what she thinks she needs to do to position herself as the model student, the basically brown noser of the left Democratic kind of class. And where the Democrat Party is going, she might be ahead of the curve because she's trying to be against Joe Biden as a war criminal. That's unique. That is more in where you would expect AOC. So we'll see how Taylor Lorenz's career goes on, but this was a funny clip. This is after show carnage. We don't stop. More stuff. Funny, weird, crazy, reacts. Let me know what you think.
In a world where raw dogging the air becomes the hill to die on, the real pandemic is sanity itself. Welcome to the After Show.